You keep thinking there's some secret to this, some hidden formula, some perfect plan, some moment where everything finally clicks and suddenly it all becomes easier. It doesn't happen like that. There's no moment where the work feels fair. There's no point where it suddenly makes sense why you have to push this hard while everyone else seems comfortable doing less. If you're waiting for it to feel balanced, you're going to be waiting for a long time. Because it isn't balanced. Some people will do less and still get more. Some people will start ahead of you and never have to struggle the way you do. You'll see it, you'll feel it, and if you're not careful, you'll start questioning why you're even trying this hard. That's the trap. The moment you start measuring your effort against other people, you lose control of your own standard. You start adjusting. You start easing off. You start telling yourself that maybe you don't need to push that much. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become average. Not because you had to be, but because you chose comfort when it started to cost you something. Outworking everyone isn't about proving something to them. It's about refusing to lower your standard just because they have. You don't slow down because they're not moving. You don't stop because they stopped. You don't settle because they settled. You keep going, even when it feels pointless, even when nobody notices, even when the results aren't showing up as fast as you expected. Because this isn't about quick results. It's about building something most people don't have the patience for. The ability to keep going without immediate reward. That's rare. Most people need feedback. They need validation. They need signs that what they're doing is working. And the moment those signs disappear, so do they. You can't be like that. If your effort depends on how fast you see results, you're always going to stop too early. You're always going to quit right before things start to shift. And that's the part nobody talks about, the timing. Success doesn't show up when you want it to. It shows up when you've done enough work to deserve it. And most people underestimate how much that actually is. So they quit. Not because they're incapable, because they were impatient. You can't afford that. If you're going to do this, you have to accept that you're going to work longer than you want, harder than you expected, and with less recognition than you think you deserve. That's the deal. And once you accept it, something changes. You stop looking around. You stop comparing. You stop waiting. You just work. You handle what's in front of you. You finish what you start. You do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And you do it again the next day. That's it. It's not complicated. It's just hard to maintain, because the real challenge isn't starting. It's continuing. Anyone can go all in for a day, for a week, even for a month. But staying consistent when it becomes routine, when it becomes repetitive, when it becomes boring, that's where people fall off. They need excitement. You need standards. Standards don't change based on mood. They don't disappear when things get inconvenient. They don't negotiate. They demand. And if you live by them long enough, they become who you are. You don't think about whether you should work. You just do. You don't debate whether to push. You just push. You don't question whether it's worth it. You already decided that it is. That's when things start to separate. Not loudly, not all at once, but steadily. While others are starting and stopping, you're building momentum. While they're waiting for the right time, you're already moving. While they're hoping things work out, you're making sure you're prepared when they do. And eventually, it shows. Not overnight, not in some dramatic moment, but in the gap between you and everyone who couldn't keep up with their own excuses. That gap gets wider. And by the time people notice it, it's already too late for them to catch up. So if you're going to take this seriously, stop looking for a reason to go all in. You don't need one. You already know what happens if you don't. You stay where you are. And if you're honest, you're tired of that. So make it simple. Do more than you did yesterday. Do it again tomorrow. And don't stop just because it's uncomfortable. That's how you outwork everyone. Not by doing something extraordinary once, but by refusing to do the ordinary over and over again, until it changes everything. And here's the part most people won't admit to themselves. It's not that they don't know what to do, it's that they don't want to do it for that long. Everyone is willing in the beginning, when it's new, when it's exciting, when the idea of who they could become is still fresh in their mind. That version of you, the one that's motivated, focused, ready to change everything, that version shows up easily. But that version doesn't last. What matters is who you are when that feeling disappears, when it turns into routine, when it turns into repetition, when it stops feeling like progress and starts feeling like work. That's where people drift. Not all at once, not in some big dramatic way, just small compromises, small delays, small decisions that don't seem like much in the moment, but over time, they stack in the wrong direction. You skip one day, then another. You tell yourself you'll get back to it tomorrow. You lower the standard just enough so it doesn't feel uncomfortable anymore. And just like that, you're back where you started. Not because you failed, because you stopped. So if you're serious about this, really serious, you have to start paying attention to those small moments, the ones that don't seem important, the ones where nobody would blame you for choosing the easier option. That's where the direction changes, because every decision you make is either reinforcing who you want to become or pulling you back toward who you used to be. There's no neutral. You're either building momentum or you're losing it. And momentum is hard to build, but easy to break. That's why you can't treat your effort like something optional. It's not something you do when you feel like it. It's not something you pick up and put down depending on your mood. It has to be part of how you live. Not extreme, not unsustainable, but consistent, reliable. Something you return to no matter what kind of day you're having. Because once you reach that point, once your actions are no longer dependent on how you feel, you've separated yourself in a way that most people never will. You've removed the biggest weakness most people have, inconsistency. And once that's gone, everything starts to compound. Your work gets sharper. Your focus gets stronger. Your confidence stops coming from hope and starts coming from proof. You don't need to guess anymore. You've seen what happens when you stay with it. You've seen how things start to shift, not instantly, not dramatically, but enough to know you're moving in the right direction. And that's all you need. Because real progress doesn't scream. It doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly in the background, while most people are too distracted to notice. Until one day, it's obvious, not just to you, but to everyone. And by then, it's not luck, it's not timing, it's not some sudden breakthrough. It's the result of work that didn't stop when it got hard. So don't look for shortcuts, don't look for ways to make it easier than it needs to be, and don't expect it to feel good all the time. It won't. But it will be worth it. Not just because of where you end up, but because of who you become in the process. Someone who doesn't need motivation to move. Someone who doesn't fall apart when things don't go their way. Someone who can be relied on to keep going, no matter what. That's rare, and that's what gives you the edge. So keep it simple. Do the work, hold the standard, and don't stop long enough to fall back into old patterns. Because at the end of the day, it's not about doing more than everyone else wants. It's about doing what most people won't do for longer than they're willing to do it. And if you can do that consistently, quietly, Without needing attention or validation, you won't just outwork everyone, you'll outlast them.